Welcome to Business Problem Solvers Podcast, where legal insight meets entrepreneurial innovation. Are you a startup founder navigating the complex legal landscape of entrepreneurship? Are you seeking practical advice, actionable strategies, and expert guidance to propel your business forward? Look no further. Eric Alspaugh is a seasoned attorney based in the vibrant startup hub of California, and he's thrilled to be your host on this exciting journey. In this podcast, we'll dive deep into the intersection of law and business, bringing you insightful interviews with a diverse range of industry experts, thought leaders, and successful entrepreneurs. From intellectual property and contract law to corporate governance and regulatory compliance, we'll cover the essential legal topics that every startup needs to know. Our guests will share their wisdom, experience, and practical tips to help you navigate legal challenges, seize opportunities, and build a thriving business in today's dynamic marketplace. So whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur, a budding startup founder, or simply curious about the intersection of law and business, join Eric on Business Problem Solvers Podcast as we explore the legal insights and entrepreneurial inspiration that will fuel your journey to success.
Hey, Julia, and welcome to the Business Problem Solvers Podcast. It is my honor to have Julia Carlos as my guest today, and she is an entrepreneur here in Orange County, California. She works with her husband, Rene Carlos, who I've known for many years. Enjoy working with him so much, and I'm really pleased to have this opportunity to share some of Julia's knowledge about business, and I am hoping to share some really interesting stories that can help some budding entrepreneurs today. Julia, will you just give a brief introduction about yourself, maybe the bio, that you've got your accountancy degree from Cal State Fullerton or something interesting?
All right. Well, thank you for having me on the show here, Eric, and it's a pleasure being here. I grew up with parents who were small business owners. My mom in particular, she ran a pretty successful business doing plant maintenance in restaurants and different areas. And I really gleaned onto that. She had me start doing her accounting when I was 13.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's been a long journey of just experience and education. I did go to Cal State Fullerton, where I met my husband, Rene. He's actually the one with the accounting degree. My degree is in legal studies management.
Okay.
So, yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
So he's been in the industry for 20 years, public accounting. I actually worked for a subcontractor for, it was a small business. They did finished carpentry and brand new homes. Okay. And I started in the accounting department, and I actually wore many hats within the company. So that's where I really got my feet wet in business. I was the right hand person to the owner, and he taught me legal tricks that he did in the company. I did payroll, I did accounting, I did all these things, and it all kind of came together. And so when I graduated college, I had moved on from this company. I worked in real estate for a little bit and spent some time raising my daughter and educating her. And now I'm back with Rene and with more in a full-time position and helping grow the business and helping small businesses achieve their goals as well.
That's great. And I want to make sure that our listeners get to know about both of your businesses. Western Premier Business Coaching, and what I know you from, which is Summit Tax and Accounting, having worked with Renee on many projects over the last 8 to 10 years. And
Yes.
So I'm excited to hear about the business coaching and maybe some anecdotal stories. Like my favorite thing to hear about is legal pitfalls, things where people really made some mistakes where hopefully we can learn and be proactive and help people avoid some of those mistakes. Or if you have some great experiences to share from your prior mentoring or things that you've done where you've avoided these legal pitfalls, and even hearing about from maybe some nuances in business based on your degree in legal studies. That would be great to hear as well.
Yeah. So when you're in accounting, you see every business, every
Okay.
industry. You have to be an expert, pretty much an expert in every industry, because how you tailor a tax return, how you tailor profit and loss, balance sheet, everything goes into what's an industry standard.
Okay.
And that's how the IRS sees it as well. What is an industry? What's standard? What's regular? And so just knowing that kind of makes you an expert basically in each of these fields. Just getting to talk to different businesses, what they do, what works for them, what's not working for them, and starting with Summit Tax and Accounting and just doing their bookkeeping and their tax returns, we saw where people were making the mistakes, whether it be legally, whether it be tax wise. And we decided that let's make a business coaching business so that we can be there for the small business, because after a while you just get so sick of seeing small businesses go by the wayside, and they're just fundamental mistakes. And to coach people through this, to coach small businesses through this and help them come out on the other side is just so incredibly rewarding.
Awesome. You had mentioned that you had maybe some interesting statistics about small businesses and entrepreneurship.
Yeah, let me read them off to you here.
Okay.
So small business is still the backbone of the United States, because 99.9% of the businesses in the United States are small businesses. Everybody has skin in the game when it comes to small businesses, because even if you don't work for a small business, even if you don't own a small business, guaranteed you're buying from a small business, whether it be from a store or I just moved recently in the last 3 weeks, and I've had plumbers come to my house. I need to call an electrician. There's so many things that need to be done, and I can't do that myself.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I have to call a small business. You call the plumber, you call the electrician, you call the appliance guy. All of these are small businesses, and we all have to interact with them. And so here's another one. So 61.7 million people are employed by a small business.
Okay. That's huge.
That's
huge. Right.
98% of small businesses have 100 or fewer employees, and 89% of small businesses have fewer than 20 employees. So the majority of small businesses have under 20 employees. 55% of small businesses they contribute to the net job creation in the United States. That's over half of the jobs in the United States are because of small businesses.
Yep.
46.5% are employed by a small business.
Okay.
And here's where it becomes where you start seeing the difference. The majority of small business owners are actually healthier physically and mentally than
Okay.
people who are not small business owners. Employees are happier, 21% happier who work for small businesses. And they're
Interesting.
even willing. Yeah. And the thing is, in a study, the majority of people said that they would even take a $5,000 pay decrease to work in a place where it makes them happier. And if you have
Sure.
21% more happiness, you're going to have more productivity, which means higher profits. Why are you in business? To make a
Yeah.
profit. You want to serve the community, you want to serve your clients and your customers, but at the end of the day, you're there to make a profit. And if you have employees who are happy that it can help you make that profit.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's great. I've never heard that. That is useful information and an encouragement for me and for hopefully our listeners who are interested in making that leap from garage inventor, or maybe tired of the mundane work that might not be as rewarding because there's long timelines before milestones are reached. And everybody gets to judge how they value and measure happiness on their own. So it'd be interesting to get that citation from you, and we'll include that in the notes. Cool. So, well, that's really interesting. Can you share any of those maybe funny or anecdotal stories of legal pitfalls, good or bad, that you've worked on? And you don't have to, don't protect the innocent. Don't disclose any names.
Right. Well, I don't know if there's funny, but definitely there's a lot of legal pitfalls, and really when you start a business, you want to set yourself up right legally.
Sure.
And the next step is how are you set up tax wise, because every year you're going to have to pay taxes, and different taxes, but setting yourself up legally to protect yourself is the most fundamental thing. And I think where people really mess up, well, I say mess up, basically, mess up. They are an S corp. They're making a lot of money and they just don't know. You go to school. I'll give you an example. Let's say a gym owner. They're amazing. He works with professional athletes, and he's one of those guys where he'll tell you, give me somebody who has a torn ACL and I'll get him back in 6 weeks. They have a $34 million contract and everything. And unfortunately, they can't read a spreadsheet. They don't know what a profit and loss is. They don't know that they should be an S corp to protect themselves and their equipment, their just all their liabilities, to protect their assets, and having that S corporation protects you, gives you that liability protection over your assets, but it also gives you tons of tax benefits.
Sure. That's that's a real practical application. I'm sure it's specific to various industries. I mean, probably for most small businesses, but are there any particular industries that benefit from S Corp elections, whether it's a service-based industry or manufacturing or professional trade?
I think everybody benefits from it.
Okay.
And the reason, and tax wise and liability, and you would know more about the liability protection, but tax wise, it's based on how much you make, basically. So once you start hitting a certain threshold, having the different, whether you're sole prop, an LLC, or an S corp, will make a difference of what you're paying in taxes.
Sure. Okay. So that's generally you like that vehicle for your clients. You like to recommend that.
I do. And the reason why is because by default, an LLC is a partnership.
Yep.
And so if you're a single shareholder, it would just make sense to go straight to an S Corp.
Okay.
Yes, there are certain industries, let's say maybe restaurant owners, you have many partners, they could benefit from an LLC just because the profits are getting split, and then it's a pass-through entity. But
Sure.
when you have the single member LLCs now, but it just makes sense to go straight to the S Corp if you're an owner, single owner.
Okay. Very interesting. I had a question on that, but I've lost it. I'm going to circle back to that.
Okay.
So those are our anecdote. Oh, I know what my question was. So at what stage, and I know this varies, but at what stage should a startup business approach a tax expert? Or what should they budget or allocate? And let me ground this question in my own personal business. I probably spend 15-20% of my resources on accounting functions for my business. What do you see across various industries? And when and how much should startups allocate to tax planning and entity planning? And feel free to run wild on this one.
Yeah, so typically in a startup, you're not making as much money, and it's something that you could theoretically do on your own if you have under a certain amount of transactions. So let's say you have 10 transactions a month, maybe 20 transactions a month. It's something that you could probably track for free if you have spread like Excel or
Okay.
yeah, a spreadsheet. Um, we always recommend QuickBooks Online. It's something that we can tap into. We can see if you provide a service, if you have a building and you have equipment, and I use the gym owner, and that's doctor's offices, dentist offices. They all have equipment. So when you have equipment,
Okay.
it's best to have somebody a professional, a tax professional, bookkeeping professional, and I say that not loosely. A bookkeeping professional doesn't do taxes. If they only do bookkeeping, they don't touch taxes. We do both, so we gear the balance sheet, profit and loss, all of that, all your books, to do a good return, to save you money on the return.
Okay.
And it's one of those things where every business should have a good attorney, right? They should have they should have professionals who
Yeah.
because you're not a professional in that capacity. Not
Right.
everybody has a degree in accounting. Not everybody knows how to do a spreadsheet. Not everybody, they're a professional, they're an expert in their own field. So it's one of those things where the old saying of what is it, a person who represents themselves has a fool for a client.
Yeah,
I know I
absolutely.
butchered that. I know I butchered that.
No, that's exactly right.
But it's kind of, and I don't mean to demean anybody, but the fact of
Sure.
the matter is that you know how to go and talk to a judge. You know how the legal aspect of things work, and it's just like how we know how the tax aspect of a business works. We can go and talk to the IRS, and you have so many people who are like, oh, I want to save money, and I don't want to pay for an accountant, or I don't want to pay for a bookkeeper, and it's just money every month, or I don't want to pay that big fee to have my taxes done. And let me tell you, it keeps you out of the IRS eyes. Or if you do end up getting contacted by the IRS, you have somebody like us who knows how to approach them and knows how to talk to them to get you out of that mess.
Okay. See, that's if we're doing saying a stitch in time saves nine, or one of those sayings applies, which is, and I just heard a new saying, which is, it's cheaper to buy it than build it. Meaning, there are certain functions that we can all learn. We can go online, look at resources, and try and save time and money by doing it ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But the older I get, I will admit, it is cheaper to hire someone that's an expert in the industry and get it done right. So I'll admit it.
Right. I mean, there's just so many fundamental mistakes that are made that we see on a daily basis. And even from bookkeepers, and you really get what you pay for. And
Okay.
so it's something that it should be on your radar. Like I said, if you have a low amount of transactions, it's probably something that you can maintain on your own. Doing a corporate return, you shouldn't do that. you should get the professional to do it for you. And in the world of DEI, do it yourself, and the school of YouTube and everything. And influencers, and I can't tell you how many influencers I see who have no background in tax at all, no certification, they're nothing in the tax world, and they're like, don't pay your taxes. Well, yeah.
Wow.
You should,
What social media are you on? Are you on TikTok? Where are you seeing this tax advice?
Oh, goodness. Reels.
Okay.
Reels.
Okay. All right, everyone. You've been admonished. Do not take tax advice from Reels. It's official.
Right. And I'm sure TikTok has it too. I'm not on TikTok. I stay away from that place.
Yeah.
And it's just a time suckhole. But yeah, it's so important to find somebody who's good, who's qualified, and really the amount that you're paying is so worth the amount that you're going to save is just, it's worth it.
Actually, that's the point. That's a point that we should really hammer home today, which is, folks, once you get a formal corporation, get a good bookkeeper and tax strategy, spend some money on it, get yourself educated. They might help you set up systems. It will more than pay for itself.
Absolutely, 100%. Last year we had we got some new clients who were sole props, and they didn't know what else to be, and they spent years being sole props and made all this money and paid it out in taxes.
Yeah.
And, and you start getting to do I want to give the government all this money?
We know the answer.
Yeah.
Render to Caesar what is Caesar's. So, no, that's really the bottom line. Do you have any practical tips for people who might be interviewing or to look for the right person for the job? Because you brought up a bookkeeper versus an accountant. There's different roles in different areas of specialties. Can you give me a summary of 2 or 3 job functions or questions that someone interviewing a tax professional ought to know? I don't know what I don't know. So what questions should they ask?
Well, at the end of the day, a bookkeeper a lot of times is data entry.
Okay.
You're clicking a button, and your bank statements come over, your credit card statements come over, and you're doing the reconciliation and everything. And a lot of business owners don't have the time to do that, and that's fine. The sole purpose of an accountant is never to, they don't run the business. You know what I mean? They're not the decision makers. And even within a corporation, with multiple departments, the accounting department is not a decision-making department. Their job, their sole function, is to give you information so that the decision maker can make a qualified decision.
Okay.
So what I see, and unfortunately, there's a lot of different industries that have gone this route, but what we're seeing in bookkeeping is it's being outsourced to India.
Okay.
And you can imagine just the fundamental mistakes that are made by having bookkeeping done in India. And yeah, you're paying a low monthly fee, and you see it as affordable, but when we go to do the tax return, it's just so incredibly wrong, and you end up paying us to fix it.
Okay.
And so that's something that you want to look for. It's not always, don't go with the cheapest route.
Okay.
And ask them questions. Ask them where, about the balance sheet, about the profit and loss. That's if you do go to a bookkeeper. Like I said,
Okay.
a bookkeeper is typically data entry. What kind of sets us apart is we're husband and wife team. We do bookkeeping, we do tax strategy. So we strategize off of the bookkeeping, and whether you do the bookkeeping or we do the bookkeeping or somebody else does the bookkeeping, we go over it. And if we need to fix it, we fix it. But being able to strategize from the books to save you money on the back end for on the tax return is critical, because most bookkeepers don't know the tax part of it.
All right. So for our listeners out there, that's a little nugget there, which is interview even bookkeepers and see if they have a sense of what they're doing and its purpose and its role in the bigger picture, with the ultimate role of supporting, providing information to the decision makers, and likely they're concerned with the profitability and how the tax will be impacted.
Right. I mean, I see some pretty egregious stuff on a daily basis. I mean, just when I think that it couldn't get worse, a new day happens and I see some pretty egregious things. But the fact is even if you're just an independent contractor, S corp, or if it's just you or husband and wife's small mom and pop business, what's critical is having correct financials, because you'll never get the health and wealth of understand the health and wealth of your business unless your financials are good, and having them coach you and tell you how to read that and what to look for, so that when you're looking at it, you're going, okay, well, I'm down this quarter. Why am I down? Is it because I didn't do as much sales, or do I need to step up my marketing? What do I need to do?
Okay. Yeah. So balance sheets, very important, how to read profit loss statements, all of those things. So there's an educational component, and you tipped your hat to me and said, hey, Eric, we're actually teaching a program now to high schoolers and are thinking about rolling it out to entrepreneurs and startup businesses. Would you like to
Mhm.
tell us about what do you characterize it as, a class or a
Yeah.
series of classes?
Yeah.
What is it? And what's its name? Give me a name.
Okay, so the name of the class and the name of the book is called Entrepreneurship and Small Business. And um, I was blessed, and I still am. My daughter is homeschooled. She just went into junior high, but she is still homeschooled. She goes to an enrichment center once a week.
Mm-hmm.
And the enrichment center approached us about teaching an accounting class. And I went,
Okay.
yeah, that's a good idea. I can teach that. But there's a lot of stuff you have to learn before you can understand accounting. So we really, Renee and I put our heads together, and I thought about it, and I go, it'd be really nice if we could design a class where you brought all the components of, sales and marketing and finance and accounting and economics, and you put it all together and
Uh-huh.
taught people how to run the business. Because once again, and I'll use the gym owner as an example, and it's not just gym owners, doctors and dentists and so many different fields. You have an expertise, you go to school in your field, but that doesn't tell you how to run the business.
Yeah.
And there's so many surprises that happen to small business owners that they have no idea. They
Sure.
don't know how to plan for it. So,
Okay.
and I thought, you know what? Why isn't this being taught in schools? This should be something, how to start a business, how to run a business, we're talking here to the next generation of small business owners. And
Yeah.
if
And
there's not, and
what was the number? 46 point something percent of people work for small businesses,
right. So we're
and
talking about almost half,
everybody's impacted by it. So,
right. And so,
okay.
and in reality, this country, once again, the backbone of this country is small business. Small business is what holds this country together. So I wanted to go and I wanted to reach the next generation and train them up so that, they're not going to remember everything. I tell them, one day, and the next day I ask them the same question thinking that they've remembered, and they don't always, but there is stuff that they retain, or they come to me and they go, "Oh, Mrs. Carlos, the Fed just raised the interest rate." And we talked about that last week. And, so there's things where
Mhm.
it's clicking. It's to get it
Mm,
on the radar, because at the end of the day, experience is going to trump any kind of book knowledge. It's where you
sure.
get good, is through experience. And I tell them, you guys, you have to be patient. Don't think that if you start a business in 5 years, you're going to be a millionaire. And if you are, great, but that's not the
Yeah.
majority of it. It's years 1 to 5 is where you get good. And
Okay.
after that, then you can really start making money. Because once you're good, then everybody wants you. But the whole premise of this was to get business owners more savvy in running the business. And that's what we need. We
Sure.
need smarter business owners. And it's not saying that business owners aren't smart. I mean, they're great at what they do. But I still have people who come to me and they're like, "I can't believe that I have to pay taxes on my employee." And it's like, yeah, you do.
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest. I run and I hide from financials and financial planning and data. It's not my favorite thing to do. And so there are CEOs that have strong finance backgrounds. I think that helps businesses be successful.
Mhm.
But partitioning out certain functions, I'll admit I'm not good at it and I don't want to deal with it. And so I think educational to help us even issue spot and know, oh, there's something over there that I know I don't know, and I should look for a professional.
Right.
I think that having financial literacy classes in grade school, middle school, and high school is essential, because I think that we talk about predatory lending, or we hear about it every 4 years in political cycles, and we want to get rid of loans, do loan forgiveness for particular industries or particular groups. And it just seems like the system is set up to make us make mistakes or take advantage of our financial illiteracy. And then somebody's got to come in and fix my mistakes years later. It sounds economically inefficient.
Right. And I think just even knowing that I don't like accounting and I don't want to do it will even, I mean, it sets you up later on of, I know I'm not going to do it, and I know I'm not going to do a good job, so maybe I should hire somebody to do that for me, rather than being under the illusion of I'm going to save money by doing it myself and I'll figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm getting encouraged. I have great people in my Rolodex, and I talk to them frequently, but it makes me want to talk to them today.
Yeah. and you know, and last week I had a call with somebody who is starting up, and she's going, I don't know the difference between an LLC and an S corp, and I just know that I'm a sole prop now, and I don't, you know, and this is what's in the book, is knowing what entity to be, knowing how to protect yourself legally, how to protect yourself with taxes, and long-term goals, and knowing, hey, if I'm not out there selling my services or my product, I'm not making a profit. And how many people, even business owners, don't know the difference between revenue and profit?
For sure. Well,
so I mean, I'm planting the seed.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm doing. I'm planting the seed right now with these young minds, and get them business minded and encourage that, hey, maybe they're not going to go to college, and that's okay. And we need to tell kids, you know, college isn't for everybody, and you can still be a great business person without college. You can still be a millionaire. Hey, you want to be a millionaire quickly? Own an HVAC business, you know. And it's one of those things where I tell people, and I tell especially these young men, if you're not interested in college, go into a trade. Find what trade, because we need tradespeople, and it comes down to supply and demand. There's not enough supply of tradespeople to meet the demand. And once again, we all have skin in the game. We all need electricians. We all need plumbers. We all need heating and cooling, and this is what we need.
Yeah. That's great advice. I'm excited to hear that you've got that program. You've got a book. Do you want to plug where the book is available, or your website now? I've got more questions for you, but
yes, we're coming out with the second edition.
Okay.
We are fixing some things within the book, but we're also adding some things, maybe taking some things out that we may not really need. So this was really the trial run with the class, and the class is going really well. I have other schools, homeschool enrichment centers, that are interested in this class, which is wonderful, that these parents see the need for knowing this, for knowing how to run a business. And even if you're not a small business owner, the chances of you working for a small business, you're still almost at 50%. So knowing how a small business is run helps you to be a better employee, which helps, you know, in turn you have a good job. So,
well, just educationally being aware that 50% of the people that we're dealing with are involved in small businesses, and how we approach them might be a little bit different than some sort of a customer service representative on a phone hundreds of miles away or thousands of miles away, and how we interact with those individuals. And just to be, maybe there's about a 50% chance we're talking to somebody that's a regular person that's not just a tiny cog in a giant machine that's running.
Right. And like in the statistic that I gave earlier, um, people who work for small businesses are happier.
That's
and
amazing.
and
I
they're
love
willing to
that.
take the $5,000 pay cut, just
Mhm.
just for happiness, because there's nothing, there's nothing like going to a job where you feel like you're chained to a desk and you're just so miserable, and you get to a point where there's nothing's worth that.
Yeah,
So but
that's great advice.
yeah
Sorry.
we're working on doing videos
Okay.
of teaching this class and making it as a course, so that people can buy the program. So startup companies, people who are thinking about, maybe not have started up yet, but they're thinking about it, and they want to educate themselves on how the business is run, and the taxes that are involved, and where you need to protect yourself. And um, we're finding that there is, some good traction there, but in reality, like I said, I want to see more small businesses. I don't want to see the big businesses, the big corporations. I don't want to see them with all the employees. I want to see small businesses. I want to see more of them. I want to see smart business owners, because smart business owners, they stay in business for a long time. They serve their customers, they serve their clients so much better.
Yeah,
And you maintain a freedom in being a small business. But this country, we need small businesses in this country to maintain our freedom.
I agree. And that dovetails with something else I wanted to talk with you about is our community. And we're here in Orange County.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that Renee has told me about various political and social advocacy that he's been involved with. And my wife and I met almost 25 years ago working on a political campaign in San Diego. So I'm
Oh, wow.
interested to hear what advocacy that you might have been working on most recently. And I know you have a heart for veterans. If you want to share about your community and any charities or any nonprofits that you're working with or supporting and want to get some attention drawn to, I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah. So really, when we talk about community, it's best as a small business, even if you're not a small business owner, get involved with what's going on in your community. Talk to the people running your community. We are good friends with the mayor of our city. We helped a couple candidates get elected onto the city council. And these are just ways, it gives us a voice for the small business community. We're small business advocates. We'll always support the small business. That's what we want. We want to survive a thriving small business community. And the way that you do that is to be involved in your local politics.
Okay.
Like I said, we were involved in getting a couple people elected onto the city council recently. And we were at the city council meeting last night where they were sworn in, and it was great. And so having that voice where you have an ear that listens, and you go, hey, we're seeing a lot of small businesses over at the town center, and it just seems to be a revolving door. What can we do? And small businesses help a community, help a city, not just financially, but the people are of that community enjoy going to small businesses. They want to go to that restaurant their favorite restaurant where it's owned by, one or two owners, or, and they have great food, and they don't want to go to, the chain restaurant, and it's just,
Yeah.
or a dress shop or a jewelry store, or, there's just so many things that make a community. And when you just have one big business after another big business, it's like, wow, there's nothing unique about this. There's nothing different. I could go anywhere to get this stuff.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
interacting with small business owner, and it transcends just, oh, I'm going to go and support a small business owner, because when you do that, maybe they have kids, they want to put their daughter into, dance lessons or softball, or, their son wants to play football, and it goes, it doesn't stop there. The dollar doesn't stop there. It moves on,
For
and
sure.
it grows the community. And you have so many people who benefit from that $1 or the $50 that you spent in a shop. It goes to pay for other things, to support other small business owners.
Absolutely. So, in supporting the community, I mean, getting politically involved, that really takes people stepping out of their shell or having a passion, something that they're interested in, to get involved in politics. Do you have any? I have a suggestion for baby steps, but I'd like your thoughts. What about joining local chambers of commerce, or do you have any other suggestions, different types of business networks that you can recommend?
Well, there's lots of different business networking groups that you can join, and it really depends on the size of a city. Your bigger cities are going to have different networking or chambers. We were involved. Renee sat on the board for our city chamber for 6 years, and
Okay.
was the treasurer, and so was very involved and civic minded in that sense. I can't say where we're going after that. We don't know, but wherever God leads us. But, it's always that, that call to duty, right? It's not just about me. It's what's going to benefit the community. And so you have chambers, city chambers, which is great because they're the small business voice of the city.
Yeah, I agree.
And so you need people on the city council, you need the mayor, you need different people in the city. They need to be able to listen to you. And so that's where it's so important to get involved and to elect those officials that will listen to the small business community and to listen to its citizens.
I agree. Are there any particular? Well, we're through that political season by about a month now, so we don't have to talk about it for about a year before the or it's are we on a 2-year cycle with politics and elections in Southern California?
Yeah, I think so.
Reps?
I would say
Okay.
so. Yeah, so
Okay.
we don't have to hear the plugs for for 2 years.
Okay.
You
Great.
can
So
get
I
pretty
appreciate.
shameless out there.
Oh man. Yeah, don't get us started. Don't get us started. So are there any groups or individuals you want to give a shout out to, or make a plug for any local businesses, or any final thoughts you'd like to share?
Well, you know what? Just get out there. I know it's so much easier buying on Amazon. It's
Yeah.
convenient. But if you can get out to a local small business, you're greatly helping, not just enriching those lives of those owners or those employees, but you're enriching the lives of other people as well. You're not buying a yacht or a vacation home for some rich CEO. You're like I said, it goes to another small business owner. So think about where you're doing your holiday shopping, and if you can if you can go to a small business and spend some money there, it will greatly benefit the community. And I just want to do a shout out to veteran services. I know that there's Wounded Warrior Project, and there's so many out there. And if you're going to donate, donate to your local church, donate to veterans who greatly need help during the holiday season. They put it's the ultimate sacrifice, right? They put their lives on the line for us. And I mean, it's just a small token of what we can do for them. But yeah, give to your local church. I know our church, we have, we donate to send the gospel out just through this country and through other countries too. We want to see the advancement of the gospel.
Awesome. Give a shout out. What church are you attending, and do they have a website, or how would you like to let people know about you guys sharing the word?
So we attend Compass Bible Church in Aliso Viejo. And Focal Point could really use the donations. Every month you get a book that the pastor has picked out, and it's doctrinally sound, which is great. But this helps his radio ministry go out to several different areas that may not have doctrinally sound churches, and we can advance the gospel through radio.
Awesome.
Yeah, so
all right.
Focal Point Ministries.
Focal Point Ministries, is that a group within Compass Bible Church in Aliso Viejo? Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Great. Love that as a shout out, and hopefully the listeners will be able to participate, check them out, and support your ministry. I love it.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I thank you so much for your time, and if we get an opportunity, I'd like to circle back and find out more about your business coaching and how that works synergistically with the tax Summit Tax and Accounting, and give our entrepreneurs some practical tips and encourage them to get out of the garage and take that leap of faith.
Right. And I just want to finish by saying that there's so many people that would make such great entrepreneurs, and there's a fear. 30% of entrepreneurs have ADHD. And
Wow.
this is a statistic that's pretty widely out there.
Okay.
There's a lot of entrepreneurs who are dyslexic. And if you think that you can't run a business or start a business or be an effective leader because you think that there's something wrong with you, don't let that hinder you. Just go for it.
I completely concur with that. That's very encouraging, and I think our listeners will appreciate that. And what's the best way for people to get in touch with you if they need some of your services or want to follow up with some questions?
All right. So we have a website. We will be revamping it here, but all our contact information is on that website. And it's westernpremiercoaching.com.
Okay.
And you can reach out to me that way. I'm also you can email me at juliacarlos714@gmail.com. And I'd love to answer questions or just, talk to people who are starting up. And if I can help and direct in any way possible, I'm there.
Awesome. Appreciate you being so active in the community and willing to share with my listeners. And I wish you all the best, and hopefully see you and Renee soon.
Yeah, we'll have to get him on too, right?
That'd be great.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank
All
you
right,
so
thanks,
much.
Eric.
And
Stay tuned for our upcoming episodes, where we'll cover topics ranging from business formation and fundraising to contracts and compliance. Subscribe now and never miss an episode of Business Problem Solvers. Business Problem Solvers podcast is proudly brought to you by Eric B. Alspaugh, APC, providing comprehensive legal solutions for startups and entrepreneurs. Visit our website at www.alspaughlaw.com to learn more. Disclaimer: the information provided in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be construed as legal advice. Consult with a qualified attorney or legal advisor to address your specific legal needs.